Over 1.2 million international students, workers, and immigrants in Canada are at risk of losing their legal status. Not next year, but this year. And the worst part? Most of them don't even know it yet. From suddenly frozen visa programs to stricter study rules and work permit crackdowns, 2026 has quietly become a turning point in Canada's immigration story. Did Canada just go from one of the world's most welcoming countries to one of the toughest to stay in? That's the question everyone's asking, especially those already living, working, or studying in Canada. Behind the government's calm language about managing growth are rules and restrictions that could force thousands to leave without warning. In this video, we're exposing the 10 most critical new immigration laws in Canada for 2026. Some may protect you, others could send you packing. Stay with us. This could change everything. Number 1. Canada lowers permanent residency targets. Canada has officially lowered its immigration targets for permanent residency to 380,000 new immigrants per year, starting in 2026, a sharp drop compared to recent years where numbers exceeded 430,000 annually. This change is part of the government's new immigration levels plan 2026 to 2028, and it's being framed as a move to ease pressure on housing, healthcare, and public services. But for thousands of hopeful applicants, especially from countries like India, Nigeria, and the Philippines, this means fewer chances to get selected, longer wait times, and even more intense competition. What's especially worrying is the shift in priorities. Canada is now focusing more on applicants with very specific job skills, French language abilities, or advanced degrees, and less on general express entry applicants. So even if you meet all the basic eligibility criteria, it may no longer be enough. Those who fail to adapt to the new point system or who apply without a focused strategy may find themselves pushed further down the line or out of the pool altogether. If you're planning to apply for PR, it's more important than ever to fine-tune your profile. That means boosting your education score, improving language test results, and even targeting provinces with better nomination odds. Immigration is no longer just about qualifying. It's about outshining thousands of others. In 2026, only the most prepared and strategic applicants will have a real shot at staying. We put a ton of research and heart into every video to keep you informed. If this helped you, take 1 second to click that subscribe button. In the comments, let us know which of these new laws surprised you the most. Number 2. Crackdown on temporary residents. For the first time in decades, Canada is actively working to reduce the number of temporary residents, including international students, work permit holders, and even visitors. In 2026, Immigration Minister Mark Miller announced a plan to lower the proportion of temporary residents, which had grown to over 6.5% of Canada's population. That might sound small, but we're talking about over 2.5 million people who are now under tighter scrutiny. The government argues this is necessary to maintain housing affordability and manage social services, but the reality on the ground is far more personal and painful. This crackdown means stricter eligibility, shorter permits, and tougher renewals. For many, it's a race against time to switch to permanent status before their temporary visa expires. If you're on a study or work permit, you're now expected to either qualify for permanent residency faster or prepare to leave. The new policies discourage people from staying indefinitely on temporary status, a practice once tolerated, now treated almost like a loophole. This change has caught many off guard, especially those in the middle of their careers or studies. For employers, it also creates uncertainty about staffing, as skilled temporary workers face obstacles just to stay in the country. For international students hoping to build a future in Canada, it sends a clear message: you need a long-term plan from day one. Waiting until graduation or permit expiry is no longer an option. The window to stay is closing, and only those with a clear, fast-track path will make it through. We don't just report the news, we break it down for you. If this video gave you clarity, drop a comment below. Are you on temporary status in Canada right now? How are these changes affecting you? And of course, hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, and it means the world to us. Number 3. Startup Visa Program terminated. As of January 1, 2026, Canada has officially shut down its federal startup visa program, a move that has shocked the international entrepreneur community. Once seen as a golden ticket for global innovators to build their companies in Canada and eventually gain permanent residency, this program is now closed to new applicants. The government cited backlogs, abuse of the system, and a lack of economic impact as the main reasons for the termination. But for thousands of founders who were preparing their applications or already in early stages of the process, this sudden policy shift has derailed their plans completely. This isn't just the end of a visa stream. It's the end of a vision that Canada promoted for years, the idea that the country was a global magnet for tech talent and bold ideas. Now, many entrepreneurs are scrambling to find alternative pathways, such as the C-11 work permit, provincial entrepreneur programs, or private business incubators. However, these options come with more complex rules, longer timelines, and fewer permanent residency guarantees. The startup visa had been one of the few federal programs offering a direct route to PR, and now it's gone. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur looking to move to Canada, you'll need to pivot fast. Each province has its own criteria for business immigration, and most require a higher financial investment or local job creation than the startup visa did. This shift signals a clear message. Canada is becoming more selective, not just about who comes in, but about why they come in. Innovation alone isn't enough anymore. Now it's about impact, control, and alignment with Canada's economic goals. We dig deep so you don't have to. If this change hits close to home, tell us in the comments, was the startup visa part of your immigration plan? And if you want real-time updates on Canada's shifting policies, make sure you're subscribed. One click keeps you ahead. Number 4. Stricter work permit renewals and higher fees. In 2026, renewing a work permit in Canada is no longer a routine process. It's become a high-stakes, time-sensitive challenge. New federal rules now require employers to begin renewal applications at least 6 months in advance, or risk losing their workers to status expiry. On top of that, the cost of applying, especially for labor market impact assessments, LMIA, has significantly increased, creating a financial burden for both businesses and workers alike. For thousands of temporary foreign workers, especially in sectors like IT, construction, and caregiving, this shift means tighter deadlines, more paperwork, and far less room for error. What's even more alarming is that missing renewal timelines can now lead to immediate loss of legal status, forcing people to stop working, or worse, leave the country entirely. Many employers are still unaware of these changes, which puts workers at even greater risk. If your company hasn't already planned ahead or budgeted for higher renewal fees, you could be left in legal limbo. This isn't just about policy, it's about job security, livelihood, and long-term immigration goals being thrown into jeopardy. So, what can you do? First, if you're on a work permit, set renewal alerts at least 7 to 8 months in advance. Second, communicate early and clearly with your HR department or employer. And finally, consider pathways like express entry or provincial nominee programs if you're eligible, because staying on a temporary permit long-term is becoming increasingly unsustainable. In 2026, delays are dangerous, and being proactive could be the only thing standing between you and forced departure. Our videos are made to keep you prepared, not panicked. If this update hit a nerve, leave a comment below. Has your employer started your renewal yet? And if not, hit that subscribe button. Don't let policy changes catch you off guard. Number 5. Study permit caps and work hour limits return. In a major shift, the Canadian government has reintroduced strict study permit caps and brought back the 20-hour-per-week work limit for international students in 2026. After temporarily lifting the cap during the post-pandemic years to support student affordability, Ottawa has now reversed course. The reason? Overcrowding in urban centers, housing shortages, and increasing pressure on public services. For students, this means 2 big blows: fewer seats at colleges and universities, especially private ones, and reduced income opportunities during studies. Many international students relied on full-time work options to survive Canada's high cost of living, especially in cities like Toronto and Vancouver. But under the new rule, they're again restricted to just 20 hours of off-campus work per week during academic sessions. This change makes it harder to pay rent, manage tuition fees, or save for permanent residency requirements. In some provinces, students are already reporting increased financial stress and pressure to work illegally, a risky move that could lead to deportation. If you're planning to study in Canada or are already enrolled, you'll need to budget smarter and plan long-term. Consider public universities with better PR pathways and co-op programs that offer paid work legally. Understand that studying in Canada is no longer just about earning a degree. It's about navigating a system with increasingly narrow margins for error. What used to be a flexible path to residency is now a tightrope walk, and knowing the rules is your only safety net. We work hard to bring you facts that could change your future. Let us know in the comments. Do you think the 20-hour work limit is fair or outdated? And don't forget to subscribe. One click keeps you ready for what's next. Number 6. PGWP eligibility list frozen. In 2026, the Canadian government made a surprising move. It froze the list of programs eligible for the Post-Graduation Work Permit, PGWP. This means no new diplomas, certificates, or courses will be added to the PGWP-approved list this year, regardless of demand or changes in the job market. For international students, this is more than just a policy update. It's a potential trap. One wrong choice in your program selection, and you could lose your chance to work in Canada after graduation, even if you complete your study successfully. The PGWP is often the first step toward permanent residency, offering students valuable Canadian work experience. Without it, you're left with limited options to stay and possibly forced to leave once your studies end. What makes this freeze particularly risky is that not all schools or advisors will warn you in time. Some private colleges or newly introduced programs might still accept international students, even though they no longer qualify for PGWP, leaving unsuspecting students ineligible when it's already too late. So here's the bottom line. Before you apply or accept an offer from any Canadian institution, double-check if your program is still on the PGWP-approved list. Visit the official IRCC site or consult with a licensed immigration consultant, because in 2026, there's no room for assumptions. The freeze may be temporary, but its impact on your future could be permanent. One uninformed decision now can cost you your career, residency dreams, and thousands of dollars down the line. We dig deep so you don't fall into policy traps. If you're planning to study in Canada, drop a comment. Did you know about the PGWP freeze before watching this? And if this helped, please subscribe. Your support means everything. Number 7. Citizenship rules tighten for children born abroad. Canada has quietly introduced a major shift in its citizenship laws, and it's catching many Canadians abroad off guard. As of 2026, the government has officially ended the automatic right to citizenship for children born outside Canada to Canadian parents who were themselves born abroad. In other words, unless at least one parent was born in Canada, their child may no longer automatically be considered a Canadian citizen. This is a huge change from previous rules, where citizenship was passed down regardless of where the parent was born, as long as they held Canadian status. This update primarily affects second-generation Canadians living overseas, such as dual citizens, expats, or immigrants who gained citizenship and later moved abroad. For many, it disrupts long-term family planning. Parents are now being told their children must meet residency or naturalization requirements to claim citizenship. It has also created legal confusion, as families scramble to understand what documentation is required and how these new laws apply to children born just before or after the cutoff date. If you or someone you know is planning to start a family outside of Canada, or currently living abroad as a Canadian citizen, this law needs your immediate attention. You may now have to apply for citizenship for your child manually, meet residency requirements, or even return to Canada temporarily to secure status. What was once automatic now comes with paperwork, conditions, and uncertainty. It's no longer enough to be Canadian. You need to prove the link, the timing, and the place. And in 2026, if you're not ahead of the rules, they could catch you off guard. We uncover changes that could impact generations. Were you aware of this citizenship rule? Let us know in the comments. And if you value honest, timely updates, please subscribe. It helps us keep going. Number 8. Incomplete applications can now be rejected instantly. In a bold move, Canadian immigration authorities now have expanded powers to reject incomplete applications outright, sometimes without warning and without offering a second chance. This 2026 rule change is designed to streamline processing, But in reality, it puts applicants under intense pressure to get every detail exactly right the first time. Even a missing signature, outdated document, or small error can now lead to your file being returned or closed, and in some cases, without a refund. What's most alarming is that under this new authority, officers can pause, delay, or even permanently shut down applications, especially if quotas are being hit or if the backlog grows too large. In short, your future could be stalled or derailed not because you weren't eligible, but because of a technicality. Immigration lawyers across the country are reporting a spike in rejections that would have been considered minor issues just a year ago, and applicants are left scrambling to restart the entire process. If you're applying for permanent residency, work permits, or study visas in 2026, you need to treat your application like a high-stakes legal document. Triple-check your paperwork. Get a second opinion. Don't rely on outdated advice from forums or friends. A tiny mistake today could cost you months of progress or even your spot in the immigration queue. The process is no longer forgiving, and the margin for error is now razor-thin. We turn complex policy into clear action steps so you don't lose your chance over a form error. Drop a comment if you faced any issues with incomplete applications. And remember, subscribing takes one click, but missing a rule could cost you everything. Number 9. Priority processing for master's and PhD students. Amid all the crackdowns and cutbacks, there's one group actually gaining ground in Canada's 2026 immigration strategy: master's and PhD students. The federal government has officially introduced priority processing and exemptions from certain caps for those pursuing advanced degrees at public institutions. Why? Because Canada is now heavily focused on attracting high-impact talent, researchers, innovators, and specialists who can contribute to the country's long-term economic and scientific growth. If you're in this group, 2026 might actually be your best opportunity yet. What makes this change especially important is that it gives advanced degree students a faster, more stable path to permanent residency. In some provinces, these students are now being prioritized for provincial nominee programs, PNPs, and in others, they're being offered extended work permits or simplified express entry routes. In short, while undergraduates and college diploma holders are facing stricter rules, grad students are being welcomed with open arms, at least for now. If you're considering studying in Canada and have the qualifications to enter a master's or PhD program, this could be your immigration shortcut. Just make sure the institution is public and the program is full-time and research-based. For those already in grad school, it's time to leverage your academic position, connect with career advisors, apply for permanent residency early, and don't waste the advantage this new policy offers. In a year full of restrictions, this is one of the few open doors, and it won't stay open forever. We highlight not just the risks, but the opportunities. Are you in grad school or planning to apply? Tell us how this policy affects your plans, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a strategic update. Number 10. New right to challenge rejected applications. For the first time, applicants whose immigration files are returned for being incomplete now have the legal right to challenge that decision. Thanks to a landmark ruling in early 2026, individuals can seek a judicial review if their application is rejected due to missing documents, minor errors, or processing delays. This change brings a small but important shift in power, giving applicants a voice in a system that has long been one-sided. But while it may sound like a win, the reality is more complex than it seems. Challenging a rejected application means hiring a lawyer, paying court fees, and waiting months for a decision, all while your status could be in limbo. And there's no guarantee of success. This legal route is not a fix for poor preparation. It's a last resort when your future hinges on a technical error or misjudgment by immigration officials. Experts warn that while this option is valuable, it doesn't change the fact that incomplete applications are still more likely to be rejected from the start. The best strategy? Don't rely on second chances. While the right to challenge is there, it's always better to submit a complete, accurate, and fully prepared application the first time. Know the deadlines. Check the requirements. Stay updated with the latest forms and policies. In 2026, immigration isn't just about eligibility, it's about precision. And while the court door is now open, your best defense is making sure you never have to walk through it. We fight to keep you one step ahead of the system. Have you ever had an application rejected for something small? Share your story below. And if you found this helpful, hit subscribe. It's free for you, but it keeps this channel alive. Canada's immigration system is undergoing one of its most dramatic transformations in recent history, and 2026 is a year where everything changes. From reduced PR targets to tighter student rules, frozen work permits, and even the end of long-standing programs, these are not small policy tweaks. They are fundamental shifts in how Canada decides who gets to stay, who must leave, and who never gets in at all. The message from the government is clear. Canada still wants immigrants, but now wants fewer, more specialized, and better prepared applicants. The days of assuming your study permit will lead to a PGWP, or that a work permit guarantees a path to PR, are over. If you're navigating this system, you must think strategically. That means choosing the right program, monitoring rule changes in real time, and never assuming the process will stay the same tomorrow as it was yesterday. But within these challenges, there are also opportunities. Master's and PhD students, high-skill professionals, and those who plan early still have clear, and in some cases, faster, pathways to long-term residency. The key is knowledge. The more informed you are, the better your chances of not just surviving these changes, but succeeding through them. We created this video not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because in 2026, the difference between staying and leaving Canada could come down to what you know and when you act. Don't wait for the rules to catch up to you. Stay ahead of them. We've put a huge amount of time, research, and effort into making this video accurate and helpful. If it gave you clarity or opened your eyes, support us with a quick subscribe. It's just one click, but it means everything to us. Drop a comment below. Which law do you think will impact you the most, and why? And if you're serious about your future in Canada, don't miss our other videos.